And it is 3:30, and we will call the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners full board meeting to order. Madam Clerk, I'll get a roll call later. Nate, we are going to rise, and Nate Parsekian from the Shores Community Church is going to start with an invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we are thankful during this Christmas season to have the promised Savior Jesus Christ to be recognized, honored, and glorified this season. Father, we know that Jesus came to bring peace and goodwill to all men, and we are thankful for that. And now we pray as the County Commission does its business that it'll do its business with wisdom, to honor you, and to bring peace to this county and goodwill to all people. And we pray that you will bless this meeting and proceedings in Jesus' name. Amen. Merry Christmas.
Commissioner Nash, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Vice Chair Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Here.
Chairman Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Laring.
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Here.
Commissioner Nash.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Excused.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Here.
8 present, 1 excused.
Thank you, and we do have a quorum. Next, we will move on to approval of the agenda.
So move. Support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's the same. That motion is carried. Approval of the minutes of December 10th, regular and closed session.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a support. Any comments, questions, or concerns on the regular and closed session minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion is carried. Now we have time set aside on a public comment on an agenda item. Is there anyone that would like public comment on an agenda item? Please step to the podium and limit your comments to 2 minutes or less.
This isn't on anymore?
Yeah, it's on. You just need to pull it down.
No, I mean.
Oh, the
this, so
computer?
we can see the time. The last few times I've been up here. it
Oh,
hasn't
the
been. I'm
computer.
sorry.
Look up.
All right.
No, that's okay. Sometimes don't know. No, I know this. The monitor. Oh, the
the
mic
monitor.
has been on, yeah. The monitor
She would like to be able to see the time.
On the countdown.
This doesn't count against me, does it?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Just thought I'd ask.
Go right ahead.
Andor 11391 West Laketon Avenue. I noticed that approve amendments to the Muskegon County Board rules. I'm just wondering, these amendments now, I'm thinking won't go into effect until the beginning of the new year, sometime in January. So that's just a question I had. I know you can't answer it right now, but I was just wondering about that. The other thing is, I'm glad that you rejected the motion regarding the $101,000 for the design and construction oversight services for the Pioneer Park Bathhouse and Maintenance Building. Yeah, we don't need to spend that money, let alone $1 million on the bathhouse and maintenance building. And I'm wondering if you have determined a date when you're all going to go out and inspect those buildings, especially now that there's 2 buildings that you were talking about demolishing, repairing one, and then building another one, which we weren't aware of until the last meeting. The other thing is, I noticed that you have an increase in wages included in the agenda for today. And, you know, regardless of who it is, with our county being kind of underwater with expenses, I'm just asking that you really consider this and be good stewards. And to me, there shouldn't be any more pay raises until we get things settled in our own county. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Any more comments?
Nola Twining, 630 West Hickory Road, Twin Lake, Michigan. I agree also on the Pioneer Park thing. It's like I live in an old mobile home. It literally was falling apart on the outside of it. I don't have the money to reconstruct a new home. So I live within my budget means and I go and I buy pole barn siding and guess what? It looks amazing. Just because we have all these citizens living here in the county paying our property taxes doesn't give you people the right to say, well, we're just going to keep upping your taxes because we want to build all these brand new things so we look shiny, bright, and new again. Repair what we have. We don't just keep going down in the hole. You know, it's like at some point we're going to sink. And who's going to pay the ultimate price in the end? Give it some forethought. Look into the future. Look into the generations, posterity's sake. Look at that before you just saying, let's go whip out some more money for things. We're looking at the beach street. We're looking at the roads, the erosions that's taken place. And it's like, are we doing anything about that? Can there be any help in that arena? You know, so again, even with the pay raises, you know, consider it. Just please, you know, I'm just one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we will move on to communication. We have received a resolution in support of Line 5 tunnel from Kalkaska County. That will be placed on file and included in the minutes. Are there any comments on that? Seeing none, we'll move on to the committee and board reports. Community Development and Strategic Planning, Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Community Development and Strategic Planning Committee met on December the 17th. It was recommended, and I move CDSP 1912-15 to approve the fiscal year 2020 Lakeshore Museum Center budget. CDSP 1912-16 to increase the Heritage Landing and Union Depot rental fees in an effort to alleviate increases in operational costs of the facilities. In CDSP 1912-17 to increase the Heritage Landing docking fees from $1,250 to $1,500 per one-day call and from $1,750 to $2,000 per overnight call, and potable water intake and gray water, black water discharge fee from $5 per unit to $12 per unit. CDSSP 1912-18 to reject the motion CDSP 1911-4 to authorize the award of a cost reimbursable not to exceed contract for stop peated waste for $101,000 for the design and construction of oversight services for the Pioneer Park bathhouse and maintenance building replacement projects, and authorize the board chair to sign.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Yes, on number 18, the contract to design and construct an oversight of the Pioneer Park bathhouse and maintenance building. I'm reminded, or was reminded at the last meeting, that this is not paid for with taxes, but with camp fees increases. So anyway, that affects my vote.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Yes.
Commissioner Laring.
So I just want to make sure I understand number 18, a yes vote rejects that contract, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yes on all four.
Thank you. Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes on 15, 16, and 17, and no on number 18.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes on 15, 16, 17, and no on 18.
Commissioner Skolnick.
You know, a yes vote on 18 means we're rejecting the contract, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I vote yes on all of them.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster.
Yes on all.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
That is
Commissioner Hovey Wright, did you?
Yes, I meant to vote no on 18.
so you change your vote. So you want 15, 16, and 17 to be yes, and 18 to be no. Thank you. So that is 8 yeses on 15, 16, and 17. And it's from 3 is
5.
5.
5 5 yeses and 3 nos.
Thank you very much. Those motions do carry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. We will move to the Transportation Committee. Commissioner Wilkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Transportation Committee met on December 17, 2019. It was recommended, and I move TR 19-1230 to authorize approval of a purchase order to Northside Heating, Cooling, and Refrigeration in the amount of $31,985 for the repairs to hangar number 5 heating system. TR 19-1231 to authorize the sale of the airport de-icing truck to Vision Air for $20,000. TR 19-1232 to authorize the chair to execute a contract with CNS companies in the amount of $111,397 for the planning study portion of the rehabilitation of Taxiway A. The airport's 2.5% local match is $2,785.
Support.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. We have a motion and support. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk? Oh, yes,
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
sorry
Larry.
about that. So I just wanted to bring to I believe we've all received the quote. You had questions about Northside Heating, and I think that's been adequately addressed.
Resolved. Okay. Thank you very much for that information. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
8 yes.
and that motion carries.
My report.
Commissioner Wilkins. Next, we have the Ways and Means Committee, Commissioner Skolnick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on December 17, 2019. It was recommended, and I move. There's a lot of them here, so you want me to read every one of them? Okay. WM 9/12-150 approved the payment of the accounts payable of $4,797,356.89, covering the period of November 22nd, 2019 through December 6, 2019 for checks as presented by the county clerk. Next item is WM 19/12-151 to approve the payment of $25,483.26 to the state of Michigan for September State Psychiatric Hospital Services. Then WM 19/12-152 to approve the agreement for filing assistance services with PFM Financial Advisors, LLC, filing fee of $2,250 upon review and approval of corporate counsel, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the agreement. The next is WM 19/12-153 to approve the write-off of the delinquent account balances in the public health and sheriff departments totaling $5,932.16 effective September 30th, 2019, as well as any interest and penalties that have accrued to these account balances to date. The next is WM 19/12-154 to approve issuing requests for proposals for collection agency services, and further move to amend the accounts receivable and debt recovery policy number 2007-362 upon selection of the collection agency. Next is WM 19/12-155 to authorize staff to seek bids for the demolition of Building B, 133 East Apple Avenue, Muskegon. Next is WM 19/12-156 to approve the payment of the list of Health West invoices totaling $282,979.06 for fiscal year 2019, and increase the corresponding purchase orders accordingly, given that the expenditures in excess of budget will be covered by corresponding increases in revenue. The next item is WM 19/12-157 to waive the procurement level quote and accept the department level quote to Fayen Zystra LLC for the installation of fiber optic cable and authorize the board to sign the agreement with Fayen Zystra LLC for $28,800. Next is WM 19/12-158 to approve a contract addendum with ImageSoft to provide contractual product management services at a cost not to exceed $50,000 for the completion of the district court portion of the electronic content management project and authorize the board chair to sign the addendum. Next is WM 19/12-159 to waive the procurement level quote and accept the department level quote to CDW for the add-on to Trend Microsecurity for a period of 3 years and authorize the board chair to sign the agreement with CDW for $84,483 and amend the budget accordingly. Next is WM 19/12-160 to award bid for county offset printing to Advanced Printing and Graphics from October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2024. The next item is 161, which I am removing from the agenda. There's a technical issue with the purchase of the copy machine that we originally had authorized. So the next item is WM 19/12-162 to authorize public health to apply for the 2020 medical marijuana operation and oversight grant from the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs in the amount of $34,837. Next is WM 19/12-163 to extend the work for remonumentation and remonumentation maintenance services equally to Moore and Brugink, Dreisingen Associates, and West Shore Consulting, and direct the county surveyor to oversee the work pursuant to the terms and conditions of the grant for 1 year covering the 2020 calendar year.
Support.
No, we're not done yet. One more. I appreciate your enthusiasm. The last item is WM 19/12-164 to authorize the Treasurer's Office salary adjustments to be effective as follows. I don't know what you want me to do with that.
You can just leave that.
Okay. Now support.
Okay. Also, just for informational purposes, the tabled motion from November 19th, 2019 in the Ways and Means Committee, WM 19/11-147, that was to direct the administration to provide the necessary information to the Board of Commissioners regarding Health West becoming an authority. That has been done. So.
Now support.
Okay.
Now we have a motion and support. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
No on 150, yes on the rest.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes on all.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes on all.
Commissioner Laring,
No on 150, on 156, and 164.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes on everything except one. I've lost myself now. 156. No.
So now we'll have to see. So I know I have Chairman Hughes. I have Commissioner Nash. Could you repeat your no's again?
No on 150, yes on the rest.
No on 150. And Commissioner Laring, could you repeat yours again?
No on 150, 156, and 164. All no's.
So there are 3 noes on 150,
No, 2.
2 noes. I have no with Chairman Hughes, no with Chairman Nash,
No, I vote yes on everything except
except 156.
except 156. Yes.
So that is 2 noes on 150 and 6 yes on 150 and the 8 yes on 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, and on 156, 1 no,
2.
2
2
no's.
no's. And 6 yes. And on 164, 1 no. And the rest were all 8 yeses.
Okay. And that motion is carried.
That completes my report, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. And I'd just like to say, I know we had a long agenda this time with motions, and it was a lot to repeat, but I did notice on the recordings that we do have closed captioning. And when we repeat them, the people who could not hear very well were at least able to read everything that's on there. So I appreciate the time and effort that takes to do that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm just curious, can people hear this now? Okay.
You can hear better.
Great.
Good. Okay. Wonderful.
Are we back?
Perfect. We will move on to number 10, the chairman's report and liaison committee reports. Approval of the amendments to the Muskegon County Board rules. We have gone over those, our committee. Thank you to our committee members. And we have gone over that in a
So
board
moved.
session.
Motion to approve?
Great. Motion to approve by Commissioner Nash, second by Commissioner Javi Wright. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Yes.
Effective date of these board rules.
It says right on the front page of them, it will be the 3rd, the day we start back after in 2020. Any other questions? This, I think, Madam Clerk, we can just have a roll call. We can just have a voice vote on this. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. That motion is carried. Next, I'd like a motion to support, appoint senior resources staff reappointment of Kathy Moore
So moved.
through 12/31/21. Thank you very much. We have a motion by Commissioner Nash, second by Commissioner Foster. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. That motion is carried. Next, I have land bank reappointments, Lori Archer, the township slot, and Tim DeMumbrum in the public slot. I'd like a motion by
motion.
Commissioner Wilkins, second by Commissioner.
Somebody.
I understand that my mind just went blank. Commissioner Foster. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same. Those 2 appointments are also approved. Public Health Advisory Committee appointments. James Donley is a dentist, and he will be taking the healthcare provision slot. And Chad Brewer, general public and well-informed public of health matters slot.
Support.
A motion for James Donley and Chad Brewer by Commissioner Foster, second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That motion is carried. The Solid Waste Planning Commission appointments, Sydney Shaw, the environmental slot, Doug Wood, solid waste management slot, William Crabtree, industrial slot, Chris Hall, public slot, and Linda Arentz, the township slot appointment.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Mahoney, second by Commissioner Skolnick.
I was just curious, does Lisa do this now? I don't know who.
Lisa and I sat down together and did this. She had all the appointments, or all of the people that had turned in applications for them.
Okay.
And we went through those and made sure that they fit actually the slots that we had open.
Were there more applicants?
Actually, that we were missing a couple. So there's a couple slots that we have yet to fill.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I on that one? on the township's lot,
Mhm.
we put Linda there, which is great. She is a great supervisor, but who are we taking away on that one?
We did not have another application.
So, okay, so we're leaving Kim on.
Kim did not reapply.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion is carried. Just a reminder, the organization meeting will be Friday, January 3rd at 3:30, and that's a Friday, not a Thursday. And I'd also like to mention, if there are any of you that would like to change your appointments, please let me know before that. I've already had one request, so if anybody has any of those, please get with me and let me know. And that moves us on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 2 items for consideration. The first one is to move to approve the contract of Michigan Indigent Defense Commission for the provision of the Public Criminal Defense Service, accept a grant for the purpose of the amount approximately $1,570,078, and authorize the county administrator to sign said contract and amend the budget accordingly.
So move. Support.
Second.
We have a motion and support. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns on that?
One question.
No
So,
hearing.
sorry, go ahead. So this was a grant-funded project,
Correct, this is a grant from the state.
100% grant funding.
Well, Mandy, you want to?
Yes. So this,
Amanda, would you give us
I'm
your name?
sorry, Amanda Mateer with Public Defender's Office. So this grant, back in 2013, Governor Schneider created the MIDC, Michigan Indigent Defense Commission. So we've been hearing since 2013 that money was going to come from the state to help fund the indigent defense services. I see you laughing, Commissioner. We've been hearing this since 2013, haven't we? Because historically, counties have had to solely fund indigent defense services county by county. So with the MIDC is now giving us state grant money. It just started in 2019, so this contract is the 2020 contract. And what it's doing is supplementing the indigent defense services budget. So in addition to county funds, the state's now giving us funds in addition. So there are things that we have to do, strings attached to this money, but it's creating new positions because of new mandates. It's creating additional responsibilities for us internally, as well as we're looking at next year, there's an impact on circuit court, district court. We're having to pull data and justify these expenses of the grant and give that data back to the state. The MIDC is actually a department under Lara now. Did that answer your question, or did that raise more questions?
Well, not totally didn't. So I'm just wondering, what is the financial impact of this motion to the county? I mean, what is the expense to the county for implementing this program?
Actually, I believe that our budgetary cost, because the state is giving us more money than we projected, our budgetary costs on the county level are being reduced.
Okay.
There's a whole formula that this grant can't ever cost us more money by what they're making us do. It's actually designed to reduce the county burden.
So if I understand this correctly, it's a position that we're already having, but we're going to have to create some new positions, but there's going to be grant money available for this? Is this the way I'm understanding it?
We have already created some from last year's funding from that, and then we have additional funding this year to create more positions as well.
With that additional funding is grant money from the state.
Correct.
So what happens to these positions if the grant money isn't allocated?
Similar to we talked about it with all departments, if the grant dollars go away, positions go away.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
8 yes.
I sneaked in behind you. I'll vote yes.
We'll let the record show that Commissioner Snyder has now joined us. Thank you.
And that motion
That's
carries.
9 yes.
Thank you,
Madam
ma'am.
My last motion of the year, I believe. Move to approve the car allowance for the amount of $6,000 per year for the IT director and the community development director.
So move.
Support.
And I would like to make an amendment to that to start the IT directors back in March of 2019. That's when he turned in his company car. And the community development director has been receiving mileage for that. So we will, start actually both of them in 2020, correct? 2020. I can't be 2020 already.
The IT director,
Whoops.
the motion is March,
March.
and the community development director is October 1st,
October
2019.
1st. Okay. All right. Just wanted to
Madam
make
Chair,
that. Yes.
I don't know if everybody's read this, but maybe the administrator would like to explain that this really isn't spending more money. It's money we've already been spending.
Right.
And one's actually could be a cost savings. For the example, the IT director, he's had a vehicle assigned to him, moving around throughout the county. He also travels one time to Sparta, but he also travels to Hart, and he travels to North Muskegon on contracts. He also goes out to each township to help set up some troubleshooting their network communication. So we're switching his, like we did with a couple of directors previous of him, from a county provided vehicle to a allowance. In his case, it would be a savings to the county based on the numbers forecasted.
So can I ask?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So
Did I have a
My
second
motion
to my
will
motion?
reflect the chairman's corrections.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So
I just wanted to keep everything in order.
have you been keeping track of your mileage since March? So I'm not sure how that's going to work for this per diem mileage cap to go back to March if he hasn't been tracking his mileage.
We're fairly sure that he gets more mileage than the allowance is going to give him.
Well,
Because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If I may, this here isn't based on mileage. It's just a flat. It's a little bit on each pay period, so you get more than the normal 26. There's an extra check in there. So when we assign 6,000 per year, that's divided throughout the year equally through the paychecks. So we're going away from a mileage reimbursement to a flat fee.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
but the IT director, who's really on call 24 hours a day,
Right.
had a county vehicle. Is that
Correct.
correct? So he turned that in.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked then about giving him a car allowance, but we were doing some checking because there was some concern over whether that would be a taxable item or not. We were making sure it wasn't taxable like your income. So, and then we just honestly, it just slipped through the cracks and we never got back to it.
Okay.
This may be a moot point, but I have a company vehicle that I drive home, and it's actually taxable. So you might contradict what you just said. I don't know how it works with county employees.
That's why that's not a county vehicle.
Mine is
It's their vehicle.
Yeah, if they drive home a county vehicle, it is taxable from their house to work site.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's why we did this instead.
Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Harvey Wright.
The typo.
Okay.
In the first paragraph, second to the bottom line, it says
Yes.
6,000 per month, and I think that's supposed to be per
Said
year.
per year.
Okay.
That's correct, but it's not in the motion, right?
Okay.
Oh, was
All
it?
right.
Oh.
It's not in the
No, it's not in the motion. The motion was correct. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Yes.
Commissioner Laring.
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
9 yes.
Madam Chair, that ends my report.
And that motion carries. Thank you very much, Administrator. Let's see. Now we will move on to old business. Is there any old business or any committee reports from?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Could I ask Matt our status on the Brookhaven cell?
Thank you, Commissioner Matt Fair, Public Works. As part of the due diligence process in the and corporate counsel can probably elaborate a little bit more than I can. The buyer has so many days to do environmental work, and their engineer was in after the chair signed the purchase agreement, and their baseline assessment discovered there may have been a gas tank or an above ground tank there. So they got to look into that, and they have today they requested what, a 14-day extension, counselor?
Well, the extension would run through January 17th, 2020.
Yes.
Under section 4.9 of the purchase agreement, they had 14 days for the inspection period, so they're requesting an extension until January 17th, 2020.
So we just got that today, and I gave it to Mike as soon as I got it, which was this afternoon. So
And, and because the purchase agreement was approved by the commission, I think it's appropriate then for the board to consider that extension until January 17th. And
I would so move.
Support.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Snyder, second by Commissioner Hovey-Wright. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion carries.
I have an old business, if I may.
Okay, please.
Commissioner Laring asked me a good question. I didn't have the answer to it. When we were doing the recording, it's saved on our website, but on
YouTube.
Progress website. The question that he asked, and I didn't have the good answer for it, is: are we allowing people to download that? It is foilable, so I mean they could get it eventually, but right now IT department has a block that you cannot download it. So I did not have a good answer for Commissioner Laring. If anybody has input on that.
Well, I have a question. Originally, the YouTube videos were downloadable. Why did that change?
Based on everything that I made that call, based on everything I heard the commission say, there was no motion on it, there was no vote on it. But from what everybody was telling me, they didn't want, from what I gathered from everybody talking, was that they didn't want people to be able to download it, alter it. Therefore, I set it up default and it's not downloadable. I can change it anytime you wish.
When was
that
that decision made?
One of the board meetings that we were just at,
But
everyone was discussing.
I don't think a motion was made. I think we just collectively said we don't want it downloadable.
But collectively, we didn't have that conversation because I don't want that. I feel that those videos should be able to be stored off-site. If somebody wants that video and wants to store it in their own computer, that should be their option. I don't necessarily trust that YouTube or the county is going to, that leaves the ability for the county to delete any one of those videos at any time they want. I believe that individuals should be able to possess, that's public property, and you should be able to take it. YouTube could pull it, or you could pull it, or our channel could be blocked. Something could happen in this boardroom that would make any particular video at some point down the line unviewable.
Thank you, Zach, for your concern. Do we have a motion to continue to block them or make them public?
I would make a motion to continue to have them blocked.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I don't think they should be blocked. I mean, anybody could come in here with a camera and record the meetings. I mean,
And they do.
And they do. So why block it? I mean, I understand the technology is evolving with artificial intelligence, where you're liable to be able to create whatever you want. They could take pictures of you and put any words in your mouth you wanted. I don't know, I don't know how we protect against that. But it's a public meeting. People can record it, and if they want, I don't know. Most of it's pretty boring, but if you want to record it, record it. I understand the concern.
So I agree with Commissioner Skolnick. If they're not downloadable, that leaves it outside of county control. So when you share a YouTube video, you're just sharing the link. YouTube could end our channel. They could stop subscription to the channel. They could, multiple things YouTube could do would stop viewership. Not to mention the county could actually pull any video, could be made a decision, and this should be public property. It would be as if taking these agendas and saying they're no longer available to the public. And I believe this is public material and should remain in the public domain.
I have a quick question if I may.
Certainly.
Ivan, do you download these and save them on the county server?
They're all saved on this laptop right here, currently on the hard drive. Plus, they're all on YouTube.
Are they available on our website then?
Yes. The link is to
The link.
The link is available, not the
YouTube.
I also have a full copy of every session we've recorded on the laptop, the hard drive on the laptop.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
I think, to make them downloadable makes them more susceptible to abuse, and that's why I seconded it.
I personally agree with that. Another thing we do have to remember is these are mostly an entertainment event. They are not a record of our meeting.
So there are scores of people, and thank you for the debate, commissioners and
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes. Even though we disagree, I do value the debate. The problem with it is some of these YouTube videos have already had views, and over time they will continue to go up. There is it may be for entertainment value to you, but I also know that the press is looking at these. They want to see them. They want to see what goes on in our board meeting. Ben Solis from MLive tells me that he watches our videos constantly. So they're more than entertainment. They are the only outreach that a lot of people that can't be here at 3:30 in the afternoon have to be able to view these things. And it needs to, and if they want to download it so that they can, if they're offline someplace, huge areas in my district are offline. They have to go into town to a Starbucks, download this material. They can't watch it at home. They have to download it and be able to view it at their once it's on their laptop. If we don't make this downloadable, we're cutting off a potentially, and it's not just my district. I believe there are other districts in this county that have internet access problems, that they have to go into town, get free Wi-Fi, download this, and view it. I think we're cutting off a portion of our subscription and limiting potential political or public involvement in the process.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
if I could just make a comment. I have a small channel of my own. I mean, it's not political, but I did not know you could even make it non-downloadable. I had no idea that was available. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that for anything. Why put it up there if you don't want people to have it?
What was the date that it changed? Because the original videos that we started producing, and there was no board decision to make it not shareable or not downloadable. The other thing is, once it's downloaded, you can put it on a flash drive. You can give it to somebody else. There's other ways to hand this material down. You can't prevent somebody from doing a spoof video of us. It could happen at any time, not just from this, but there are video cameras in here frequently. You can't eliminate that by just control.
I can uncheck them anytime you want.
No, I'm asking when it changed and why.
Commissioner Foster?
Madam Chair, may I ask counsel if he has any input on this for advice for us?
Well, it's certainly an area outside of my expertise, right? I can't say I'm YouTube savvy. But beyond that, right, there's a record retention policy that the county has. It needs to comply with, so that for any request for, say, recordings of meetings and the disposal of those, you would have to comply with the record retention policy that the county has, or as a default that the state of Michigan maintains for public records.
Even though that's not a public record?
Well, I think it's a public record to the extent that we are maintaining it, right? So it's maintained there on the laptop, and then exists as a public record subject to that record retention policy. I wouldn't necessarily rely on YouTube for a record retention policy because the county maintains its own public records. So it doesn't bother me one way or another whether or not those videos are downloadable from YouTube. What I get concerned about is how are we maintaining the public record of these to the extent that we are maintaining them, and what is our record retention policy? Is it on one hard drive? Is it on a server? And how long are we going to retain those public records? We are not, like any municipal entity, public entity, we're not required to maintain public records for all of eternity. That's not what the record retention policy is. So I haven't looked at the county's record retention policy. I presume you already have one. The default then is to the state of Michigan, and we should maintain those public records as public records for as long as they need to be retained. After that, you're free to dispose of them.
Thank you. Well, we do have a motion on the floor, and the motion is to not make our records available online, downloadable. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skonig,
Okay, just so I vote the way I want to vote. If I'm going to vote no, which means that I do not want them, I want them downloadable. Is that correct? Okay,
Correct.
no.
so your vote is no?
No, that's correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Snyder,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins, Vice Chair Foster,
No.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes,
That's 4 yes, 5 no.
and that motion
Fails.
fails. I did come up with the right word for that. That motion fails. So, Director Phillips, would you please make those so that they're downloadable? Thank you. Any other old business? Seeing none, any new business? Oh, yes, Commissioner Hovey Wright.
We just wondered what the timeline is for the report from the transportation consultants that we hired about the bus system. We haven't heard anything about that.
Yes, we had a preliminary review, Bob Lucas, myself, and staff. So we plan bringing those in January.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Could we be notified about that in a timely manner?
Yes, and the literature will be handed out before the meeting as well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else under old business? How about new business?
Madam Chair, I have new
Yes.
business. I'd like to submit a motion for the County of Muskegon to not consent to refugee resettlement pursuant to Executive Order number 1388. I do have copies of the resolution. It's fairly short. You can pass those around. I do have copies for the legal counsel and the administration also. Executive Order 1388 was to limit refugee resettlement, and President Trump said that the county commissions had to opt in or opt out of this resolution for refugee resettlement.
And your motion is?
That we opt out of refugee resettlement as a county of Muskegon.
I'll support that for discussion.
Madam Chair, isn't this also another violation of our rules?
Yes.
I
has to go to committee first.
Yeah, I think we
That's the board rules. We just talked about this. They're not in effect till January 3rd.
We made a motion this year.
Yeah, we have a motion already.
We already had a motion that we approved.
We made a motion.
No, legal counsel, would you direct to that? What motion is that?
Current rule would require a motion as well as support of two commissioners. That's the current rule. That change to the rule was made.
Yeah.
A couple months
Back to the
ago.
three commissioner rule again.
Well,
Till
not
the-
back to, that is the existing
Until January 3rd.
Okay, can I get a third? Commissioners, support this for debate, please.
I'm not going to agree to support it for debate. I'm going to make the same comment that I've made a number of times before. I'm opposed to us adopting resolutions that are meaningless. And to me, resolution of this to not do something is crazy.
So my comment to that is President Trump.
Have a motion on the floor, so no comment.
We do have support. Commissioner Foster and Commissioner Schneider.
He didn't support it.
I didn't support it.
Said he didn't support it. So there is no
Just
comment
the
on it.
opposite. I'm opposed to it totally.
So there is no more comment on that. Is there any other new business? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Yes, please.
My name is Bruce Mossberg, and I'm from Bethany Christian Services, and I'm the program director for the Unaccompanied Refugee Minor Program. Just want some clarity on what we're talking about here. So President Trump has committed to the resettlement of 18,000 immigrants, and a small portion of those are refugees. The only agencies in West Michigan that are resettling refugees are Samaritas and Bethany. So there's no plans to place any adults or families in Muskegon because the numbers are so low. But we do currently have 3 foster care homes in Muskegon County that have accepted refugee kids into their homes. So what I would like to ask is that we continue to be able to work with those families. We work with kids that are fleeing their home countries because of, and they're unaccompanied because of death of their parents, or they've been separated from their parents. So we're not talking about huge numbers. We're talking about serving kids, and we're talking about serving a few number of kids. And I prepared some packets just to talk about, some supportive and some explanation of the executive order as well. And we do have some church support in Muskegon County that have come out in favor of the refugee programs, and we have some really good families, 3 families in Muskegon that we would love to continue to work with. And
again, Meredith Smiley, I'm the director of Bethany Christian Services here in Muskegon County, and I would echo my compatriot here in regards to being able to provide refugee services for minor children.
Thank you.
Is a motion in order?
I guess.
I make a move that
Point of order.
that this
Point of order. We're
board,
in public comment.
the chair ruled
His
that
clock
the
is
motion is
ticking.
ordered. I make a motion that
Point of order.
we approve.
Point of order.
Just a minute here. Is there anyone else with public comment? Seeing none, public comment is good. Oh, okay. I don't get.
I'm not sure what's going on here. Where
You're on public comment.
I am, but are
Yes.
you supposed to make a motion during a public comment?
No,
I'm confused here.
We're
You're
going
in
to
public
continue
comment.
public comment.
Please continue.
Okay, so we're back to public comment.
Started 2 minutes on her timing. Okay.
Melinda Pagel, Muskegon County resident. You will not have taxpayer support for refugee resettlement. We do not want it.
Okay, any other public comments? Seeing none?
I'd like to have public comment. Commissioner Zach Laring, Judson Road, Muskegon, Michigan. So refugee resettlement is actually corporate funded resettlement of refugees into communities. I actually have refugees and religious asylum people that I've been assisting personally. I don't want corporations bringing in people. The permission of this county and county commission to be. It's fine if individuals want to assist others. We do not need corporate welfare giants like Bethany Christian Services importing people into our. We need to be able to handle it. If we want to handle refugees in this community, let people like myself, who is doing that, handle it. Any one of you can help them personally. We do not need to dole out corporate welfare dollars to organizations to handle what we're supposed to do individually by ourselves. I have been assisting people that are fleeing their country for religious asylum because they converted to Christianity, and now they have death threats against them in their country of Nigeria. Every one of us are capable of doing this ourselves. We don't need to employ a corporate giant to do it for us, who make money off of each one of these refugees that they bring in. I just want to make the statement, Commissioner Snyder, that sometimes these things.
Please don't address
sometimes
address
these
the board,
things,
not an individual commissioner.
Sometimes these things happen quickly, and this executive order came out in September. Some groups are accepting it. Some people want these corporate giants in their community. We do not need this welfare train coming into Muskegon County, dumping off people that are seeking asylum or in vast
Thank
numbers.
you, Commissioner Larry. else? Seeing none, we will move on.
Nola Twining, 630 West Hickory Road. You know, I have a daughter with developmental disabilities, and unfortunately, I have to rely on our county to help me to help her. She's 37 years old. What's going to happen when we're doling out money to help people that aren't committed to America or America's ways? And here I'm trying to take care of my daughter financially. You guys, you need to really consider what you're doing to America. To America. Americans first. And I know maybe that's rubbed some of you guys wrong, but maybe you're not really true Americans in the first place.
No.
Thank you.
Now, public comment is closed.
No.
Okay. Anyone else for public comment can get in line behind her.
Ann Derwin, 1391 West Laketon Avenue. I do agree with not accepting refugees. We have a lot going on in our county. We have to take care of our citizens first. It's good to be a good neighbor, and if individuals can do this, I think it's a wonderful thing. But I too agree that we don't need corporate coming in and doing this. I really believe in this. I didn't know this was going to come up today, but I am against refugees coming into our county. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Marcia, you can wait, and we'll have time for the board to talk.
I just didn't know where.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we will close public comment, and now we will have commissioner comments. Marcia, I'll be right.
Yes, I think it's inappropriate to label Bethany Christian Services a huge corporation. It's a private, faith-based nonprofit, and we're talking about 3 families or 3 people. This is not exactly a horde. And I think we need to keep things in perspective and realize this is a faith-based group trying to do a good thing, trying to help people that are in a similar situation to the family that's living with you. There are a lot of reasons why people leave their country, and there's a process they have to go through to get citizenship. And what to do with those people in the meantime is what they're doing. So I rest my case.
Thank you, Marcia. Anyone else? Commissioner Schneider, just a minute, please.
Comment that I too have had personal experience with Bethany Christian Services over the years. They perform a valuable service, and I happen to have a granddaughter who is a beneficiary of those services from Bethany Christian. While she's not an immigrant, she was resettled from Pittsburgh.
Well, okay.
My point again, Commissioner Laring, is simply that I don't think we should be adopting resolutions not to do something.
Then welcome to opting in.
Uh,
You had a choice to opt into marijuana or opt out, and many communities wound up opting in because of their refusal to do something.
Commissioner Skolnick.
You know, I just want to say, sometimes I agree with Commissioner Laring, sometimes I don't. I wish I had this a week ago so I could look at it and Google it and just find out what's going on here. You spring it on me. How can I vote for this? I don't know. I didn't know that this was even a thing. It isn't fair to me. That's why people, I mean, if you just gave us a little time, maybe we'd still disagree. Maybe I'm against it, but I don't even know what to do. That's number one. Number two, I just want to say one other thing. Some years ago, it was probably 30 years ago, our congregation, over a period of a couple of years, adopted Russian families. It was a husband and wife and 2 kids. I remember the father had been an engineer in Russia. He got a job at a place it was Honolulu and Grand Haven Road. We had gotten him an apartment at almost Henry and Seminole. He walked to work for a year. He didn't have a driver's license. I mean, I'm telling you, that's probably a 5-mile walk, maybe more, every day, winter, whatever. Anyway, they became citizens. Kids went to college. It really was a nice story. But you know, I'm not against immigrants. I mean, refugees. I want them to be legal, like you do, I suspect. But you can't just throw this in front of me. It isn't fair. It isn't fair to me.
So I'd like to comment to that. The idea of the Opens Meeting Act is that, and unfortunately, this debate has been shut down by a goofy rule of 3 commissioners. The idea is that this debate is supposed to happen in public and that we don't have these sidebar meetings. I apologize that you didn't know about it ahead of time. President Trump, this was a big press release. His executive orders are in the newspapers. They're easy to read. This idea of open debate is what we're supposed to be about. And that's why you feel it's a surprise. But I don't want to go and meet in little clutches and make these decisions and wrangle votes ahead of time. I want to have this debate for the YouTube camera and for the public to see it. And you know what? It's not supposed to be pretty. Sausage is good, and it's not good to watch it being made. I know that this seems contentious, but this is what politics are. And we entered into this contentious debate willingly. We knew it was going to be when we ran for it. And the people that voted me in, they knew I was rough around the edges. They were okay with that. I'm okay with it being contentious here, and let's have this contentious debate. I feel like I agreed to the board rules of sending it to a committee. The committee doesn't make a decision. The reason I bring it to the board is so that we can have this public, open debate. Each one of us represent different districts. And if I do this bartering and horse trading behind the scenes, it's not public. I want to bring the debate to the public stage.
Yes, Commissioner Nash is first. Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
I agree with Commissioner Skolnick. It's not about trying to have a meeting or meet with a commissioner, but if you can get this material to the commissioners through the simple ways that we always have them, is through the staff and through the email, then we all are aware that this is coming before us. But when you spring it on us at the last second at a meeting and throw a motion out, that was the reason for the motion that we had. This is not just because of Commissioner Larry. This is something that we've all complained about for decades, of commissioners coming up at the last minute and having something like this happen. And this is why we end up in all these discussions. And my other problem that I have is that I'm concerned as a person of color that this board is moving in a direction where it's becoming more prejudicial and racist towards individuals without even knowing who they are. We're just making judgments because someone is a refugee, or someone is they're immigrant or something else, but we don't know who that individual is. And I think as a Christian, we should understand that we need to know who a person is before we pass judgment on them. And I do not like seeing us have these kind of discussions to put a blanket over someone because they have a label that we've labeled them with. I don't think that's a Christian way. I don't think that's a kind way. I'm growing up to know who a person is before you pass a judgment on them. And being from where I come from and the color I am, I truly understand that. And I just hope that we can try to be more understanding and try to figure out a way to work these things, especially peacefully, so that it's not so embarrassing. But also think about, what would Jesus do? Who would he turn away?
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Skolnick.
Well, I just want to say the remark has been made here, right here, about deals being made in the back room. I've been here a long time. I have never made one deal in the back room. I've never shopped for votes. I've never asked people. We might talk and say, no, we don't even hardly ever do that. This was done once before recently. You wanted the sheriff to do something with ICE. You wanted him to cooperate with ICE, and I don't know what the deal was. But you did it at the end of the meeting, just like you did this, and you apologized for bringing it up. And
I don't think I apologize for bringing it up.
Okay, I don't remember if you did that time. But I just need to study this. It's not fair. It's not fair to the voters. It's not fair to anybody to just bring something up without looking at it. Every motion that we considered today, we saw in advance, and the chairman and the vice chair of the committee had a chance to discuss it with the department heads. In this case, I'd like the attorney to look at it and just tell me what he thinks. I'd like to Google it. I don't follow. You're more involved in it, the day-to-day things that are happening in Washington. I'm not. So anyway, I'm
Thank you.
sorry. That's
Now, and I'd just like to make a comment myself. I've dealt with Bethany Christian Services for the last 20 years at least. I've never had a bad experience with them. They've been wonderful people. They've worked miracles with some children that really needed help. I can't speak highly enough of them. I've never known them to be money grubbing people in the community. I've known them just to be good Christian people that want to help. And I really take offense to the fact that, you disparage their reputation. Commissioner?
Just a quick question, and that is, we're a municipal government. We don't have authority over immigration. That comes from the federal government. For us to enter into some sort of agreement not to accept refugees probably is not legal, number one. North Dakota has one county that wants to be the first county in the country to do that, and I think they're going to get shut down as well. This is a federal government issue. I am more concerned about the community mental health issues in this county, the crime issues, all of those things that are local. I have no control over immigration, nor do I wish to. Thank you.
And I just like go just a second, Commissioner Snyder. One thing too, the county is not paying Bethany Christian Services. They don't get any money from us. All of their money comes from their donors and things like that. The county's not paying them a dime to do anything they do in the county. They are willingly accepting responsibility for people who need shelter. We're not paying for it, and we're not asking any tax dollars to pay for it. Commissioner Snyder.
I just want to reiterate, Ken just reiterated what I said earlier, that we're trying to do something that we have no authority to do, and which is not something that we have any control over. It's a meaningless gesture.
Can I just make
Yes,
one
please.
comment? So, Commissioner Laring's right. The president did issue an executive order. And we've dealt with this with some of our other clients. And while I understand some of the commissioner's comments with respect to immigration, the point of the executive order is to seek consent from local governments, particularly counties, on whether or not they're going to consent to resettlement of refugees. And at least the position of the federal government is right now that unless the county provides that consent by June of next year, then resettlement should not occur in those counties. Not that it can't, not that it won't, but it should not. So and I'll just, if you'll bear with me, I just want to read part of the executive order because I think it will become clearer then, at least for the board. The executive order reads, by the authority vested in me as Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, purpose. In resettling refugees into American communities, it is the policy of the United States to cooperate and consult with state and local governments to take into account the preferences of state governments and to provide a pathway for refugees to become self-sufficient. These policies support each other. Close cooperation with state and local governments ensures that refugees are resettled in communities that are eager and equipped to support their successful integration into American society and the labor force. The federal government consults with state and local governments not only to identify the best environments for refugees, but also to be respectful of those communities that may not be able to accommodate refugee resettlement. State and local governments are best positioned to know the resources and capacities they may or may not have available to devote to sustainable resettlement, which maximizes the likelihood refugees placed in the area will become self-sufficient and free from long-term dependence on public assistance. Some states and localities, however, have viewed existing consultation as insufficient, and there is a need for closer coordination and a more clearly defined role for state and local governments in the refugee resettlement process. My administration seeks to enhance these consultations. It goes on to say that consent will be viewed or considered by the federal government when they're resettling refugees. It does not prohibit if the locality does not consent. But the way the executive order is drafted means that unless you consent, then refugees should not be resettled in those communities that have not affirmatively given their consent. So, while I agree with Commissioner Snyder, the resolution itself to not do it is meaningless, because unless you give your consent, you have thereby not given your consent to the resettlement. So I think the only action for the board to consider is whether or not you are going to consent, not consent, because you're already out if you're not in, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question. The governor has just indicated that Michigan will continue to be a refugee state.
That's correct.
And encourage settlement.
Who
Need both.
indicated that?
You need both county and state?
Yeah, so the executive order requires both the state governors to indicate whether the state is going to agree to resettlement, as well then as those counties within the state. So, yeah, and you're right, the governor has indicated that the state of Michigan is giving its consent. Our clients are then looking at whether or not they're consenting, not consenting, and which levels of government need to provide that consent.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
In hearing that, can I ask our administrator if he knows what any counties around us are doing at this point?
It is my understanding that Kent County has signed a letter to be included.
City of Holland.
They
City of Holland
opted in,
opted in. Yeah.
and Holland opted in, so they will both accept
We said.
refugees.
Our audience might know better than I do.
Kalamazoo County, I think, has opted in or given its consent.
Sanctuary counties.
Oh,
Well,
go ahead,
I just
Jeffrey.
wanted to make a comment because it sounds like what our corporate counsel read is that the refugees, the purpose of that executive order was to make sure that the refugees have an opportunity to become self-sustaining.
Yes.
So to me, that's a positive purpose. I don't see that as a negative purpose. So I don't see why we would want to stop that process whatsoever. And
'Cause it
like you
takes-
say, we don't have any control over that anyway. And that funding is coming through Bethany, who brings in their own sources. So, you know, I don't see why we're trying to opt in or opt out, either way it go. But if it was me, I would opt in because it's going to help some people move in the right direction.
Okay. All right. Now I will entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268D.
So moved.
Consider the purchase of or lease of real estate property.
Support.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.